Good afternoon, everyone. Record cold in May where you see a dot. Cold record broken. You won't read about that in the news too much. Scotland snows. Canada snow. New York record snow. Wheat harvest for 2020 is only at 22% planted versus 49% last year. That's a decline. Suggestion, get a victory garden moving. Well, maybe it'll get frozen if you still plant in May. Northern Hemisphere temperatures 1550 to 1800. You see how it's moving up and down, up and down? Wonder how that happened. There were no factories or cars back then. Well, that's a first. The FDIC posting a video on YouTube urging Americans to keep your money in the banks. And it looks like the banking system could be in for a 10 times larger shock than the housing meltdown in 2008. And it's quirky that if it was such a stable financial system, the FDIC wouldn't need to say a word. With this much inflation on the way, only one investment stands out: gold. Patriot Gold Group has no fee-for-life IRAs where your IRA or 401k can be in physical gold or silver. At Patriot, you work directly with an owner and avoid paying absurd broker fees. Call today or request a free investment kit. PatriotGoldGroup.com. The link's in the description box below. And starting over here with Ryan Maue, entire eastern U.S. well below normal temperatures for 11 a.m. on the 9th. That's some deep, dark blue there. Let's look and really see. Do I see 32 degrees below normal Fahrenheit? That's where the dark purple is. When we get into the blues, we're definitely into the 20 degrees Fahrenheit below normal temperatures. And you can understand why they're setting all these record lows. And where Ryan's maps are here with the circle, long record book, 100-year plus breaks, record lows. Great Lakes, Ohio Valley. And here we are, even in the southeast U.S. What's that? Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, with brand new all-time ever set cold records in May. And then as more records are compiled, this is a better map here from Cool WX. Everywhere that you see blue or green is a new cold record set in May. And I found this chart when I was doing some research for the Alternative View conference that I just presented at virtually last week. Northern Hemisphere surface temperatures, this is from 1550 to 1800. Now the red line is the volcanic index, so if there was a lot of ash in the atmosphere, you can see how much the temperature was pushed by reflectivity and sulfur dioxide with the albedo effect on the overall temperature scheme. But what I found so fascinating is this push for the narrative of everything's CO2, everything's human-induced, and you're the problem with the planet. But when we look at this time frame that has nothing to do with anything, even at the steam engine time, we still see these temperatures fluctuating in Celsius degrees. And the whole thing is keep it below 1.5 degrees Celsius change. Well, when I look back, I see an enormous amount of movements of at least 1.5 degrees Celsius, and then back down, and then up, and then down. I encourage you to freeze the chart. I left it high res so you can screen grab it and share it with your friends. It's not CO2, it's not you, it's definitely the sun, magnetism, volcanism, in my personal opinion. Jumping over to U.S. Wheat Associates, U.S. spring wheat for the harvest fall 2020 is only 22% planted, significantly lagging the 5-year average of 49%. Cold weather and massive flooding again. Gee, 2.0, whoever would have guessed that except, well, all the forecasters predicting massive flooding again this year. And off the same report here, which I linked in the description box below, Oklahoma hard red winter wheat forecast, what's that, 12% below last year. And then at the bottom paragraph here, we're reading about the Oklahoma Wheat Commission rating the previous year at 74% of Oklahoma winter wheat as good or excellent, but this year only 64%. Again, it's not about the yields, it's about the protein content and the actual usability of it. So the same amount of tonnage is not going to equal the same amount of tonnage. That's in excellent condition, high protein content. There's a huge difference in that 10% when you're going to try to refine or to use it for different products coming out of a factory. Hence, victory gardens. Have you noticed a lot of people starting to talk about planting their food? The only problem this year is this late May freeze across an enormous amount of the U.S., if you'd planted anything and you had leafy veg out, it probably got damaged during this time. So that was the old rule. Plant by May 1st, because generally after May 1st, it won't get frozen. Whatever emerged, especially these early blooming flowers, just got wiped out So look for fruit and veg down, more expensive prices, supply chain disruptions. This is just going to add into the whole thing. You can see why there's inflation across the landscape at the moment. And then looking up at this cold blast that ripped through Canada, the United States, parts of Mexico, which spawned an enormous amount of tornadoes down in Mexico. Oh my. Stunning Saskatchewan, Canada. Fresh snow. And a look at the whiteout conditions here. Margaritaville, New York. 1 inch per hour. And Central Park also tied the latest snowfall on record in New York City. So we'll see if it snows again tomorrow, which will break the record, and it'll be the latest snowfall ever recorded in Central Park. Jumping over to Scotland, snow there as well. There's another Arctic blast coming down through Europe that's going to have a significant impact on the agriculture there. And it seems to be an enormous amount of vortices. This is from Ireland, tornado coming down in the valley there. But Irish tornadoes definitely makes news when it happens there. And my co-author, Bill Porter, and myself, when we wrote this book, Climate Revolution, talk about how there's going to be more spinning vortices in the atmosphere and how these grow zones are going to shrink in this grand solar minimum. We put some forecasts out there on how the climate's going to bend, especially into 2024. We're going to have some real problems, especially with the electromagnetic pull on our Earth, as the gas giants out form a perfect square, and we go through it like an Earth sandwich right there. Climate Revolution, Grand Solar Minimum, links in the description box below. It's a way to support the Adapt 2030 channel. Appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next video.